While it may surprise you given the content of the programming, Planned Brotherhood is not affiliated or associated with Planned Parenthood in any way. Planned Parenthood is a registered trademark of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, Inc. Planned Brotherhood is not a registered trademark at all. Thank you.
Go! Planned Brotherhood! Planned Brotherhood! Car out of control, they would crash the airwaves with a microphone. So sit down tight and listen close. All the ladies now to go, drum close! Planned Brotherhood! Planned Brotherhood!
So I have a topic to bring to the table.
Sounds good.
Thanks for that enthusiasm.
I'm on board.
All right. Sometimes I think I have memories of us that only I could have. Like, I was so young that there's no way that you could remember.
Yeah, or they're so obscure.
Yeah. So I'm going to run this one by you. Do you remember the time it was basically our childhood home, but before we'd moved into it, and Grandma was running a daycare out of it?
Uh-huh.
And I think, I'm just going to go ahead and say her name, Sherry Swigert. Was working with Grandma to some degree, even though she was only like 15, but she was a helper at the daycare.
Okay, I don't remember Sherry Swigert too well.
Okay. This particular story, what they did was Double Dare, starring Mark Summers, was a big show at the time.
Yeah.
On Nickelodeon. I think the daycare kids watched
It's so incredible, Nick, because I thought about this 2 days ago.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
So you know exactly where this is headed.
Yeah, but continue.
I have a feeling I know some specific details that you don't.
Okay.
But then I want to get your take on it. So as I recall, Sherry Swigert was the Mark Summers of the afternoon. And it took place in the backyard, and they had spent the morning. And to Grandma's credit, although we'll talk about how sanitary or safe the whole experience was, but she did a lot more than Mom did once Mom took over the daycare. That's for sure.
She was ready to help out and make this a fun time.
Right.
Well, it goes back to like the Candy Monster, where every now and then,
mention that, which I don't think we've talked about.
Yeah, every now and then, she would gather us all in the kitchen, and I think there'd be rumors going around. I think it's the Candy Monster today.
Rumors that she's spreading.
Yeah.
Even as an old lady, she was so adorable.
It's so fun.
It's too bad religion ruined her.
And there was a monster, and this particular brand of monster decides to go in backyards and hide candy bars all over the place. And so it was our job to find them.
It was super exciting. I like that Grandma was okay with teaching kids that a candy monster existed, which sounds kind of terrifying, but the Tooth Fairy, Jehovah's Witnesses, no.
Yeah, you don't do
or
that.
Or Santa Claus, any of that shit.
You tell your kid the truth straight up from the second he's born.
I believed in the Candy Monster. That's the most fucked up thing.
And also on Candy Monster, I remember once I found one like days later, and I got to keep it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like she had forgotten where she hid it.
She didn't skimp either. It was the king size. I think.
It was like king size Hershey bars.
That's huge to an 8-year-old.
It was delicious. Pre-acne, so no worries there.
So I don't know. It was probably Sherry Swigert's idea. Brandy Franskite may have co-hosted.
Yeah, maybe.
She was the blonde bitch, whatever that girl's name actually was on Double Dare.
I wasn't there like a black guy at the daycare. He was like 30, and he would hang out.
I don't know who you're describing.
He was this kid. It's not even worth going down. You'll never remember him. Although I do remember once
Is he a kid or is he 30?
He was a kid.
Oh, okay.
And I remember once, like, at the weird rock pool thing that they had at Baker Middle School, like, you told me that he was like, hey, Nick, come underwater. And you did, and he pulled his penis out. No. You said that you guys went underwater and he showed you his middle finger. And it was like badass.
He had to do
you remember that kid?
Yeah, although I thought it was Josh Swigert, Sherry's brother.
Well, I remember some black guy being there at Double Dare. Never mind. I remember being very young at Double Dare, and I was probably like the 4-year-old who had no idea what was. I don't know how old I was. Definitely had the mentality of a 4-year-old, even if I was 11, playing this game.
Yeah. So they split it up.
I was probably 6.
What's that?
I was probably 6 because we moved into that house when I was 8.
and it was pre that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right, which means I was 8 then at the time.
Yeah. And just as uncoordinated as I was during the whole game.
Right, and so the best part of Double Dare, anybody that's our age, was what do they call it? The physical
challenge.
Well, there's a physical challenge, but there's also the obstacle course at the end.
Yeah.
So the physical challenges, I think, were literally like walk past this duct tape line with a book on your head without it falling.
Yeah.
But the obstacle course, they put some time into.
Yeah.
And I think both you and I were on the same winning team.
I think we were on opposite teams.
Is that right?
I think so. I seem to remember that.
Didn't we both go through the obstacle course?
I seem to remember that that's where the rift began. Everyone went through it eventually, like after all was said and done.
That's
when
true.
the monkey bars were ruined.
And I think there was candy as prizes, wasn't that it?
Yeah, bulk candy.
And in tradition of the actual Double Dare, Sherry played host, and there were trivia questions that you had to get before moving up to a physical moving up to the obstacle course.
I know just what you're gonna say. Can I say 2 words?
It would be interesting, yes.
E.T.
Nope.
Wow. Never mind.
Why don't you start with that one, though?
I just remember one of the questions being something about what does E.T. say when he touches Elliot's finger or something like that. Anyway,
we nailed that one.
The answer was E.T. phone home.
That doesn't match the question you just asked.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember. I'm probably making it all. I was 6, dude.
Well, the way I remember it, it started like they had actual Trivial Pursuit cards she was holding, but she's staring at a bunch of blank-faced 8-year-olds. We're not going to know who played for the Celtics in whatever year.
Yeah.
So she ditched that, and then I remember at one point she started making up questions on the spot that she thought maybe we could answer as daycare kids who spend every, Monday through Friday there.
Basically, she was choking at this point.
Yeah. So she wanders around for a little bit with her co-host Brandy, and they're obviously just like observing things in the backyard where the whole thing is taking place, and they come back and they're like, okay, we got one. What does the bumper sticker say on the side of Alice's RV? And I knew that one because I just learned how to read. I don't remember what the bumper sticker was. I'm going to guess addicted to yard sales.
Yeah, stops at all garage sales.
Stops at all garage sales. But yeah, the obstacle course, I just remember they greased the already unsafe slide down with something to make you shoot down at rocket speed into the gravel pile below.
I remember ice cream on the monkey bars, and the monkey bars were never the same.
Terribly dangerous. Yeah, and they rusted the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
And the big finale, like number 8 on the obstacle course, was because oftentimes they'd have like the gross, like pudding slip and slide on the actual show.
Yeah.
And for us, it was like a wading pool that they'd filled with water, but then dumped a bunch of other shit in, like mashed potatoes.
Like leftover lunch.
And ketchup.
Yeah. Just half chicken nuggets. Brandon Meisner's retainer is in there.
He gets a nosebleed for no reason. He drains that out over the pool. It was unsanitary at best. And the monkey bars, that shit is just dangerous.
Let me ask you a question about, do you remember the mentally handicapped girl, Crystal, that went to the daycare?
Sure I do.
And do you remember how, like, when that big toy outside really started getting unsafe? And there was like
mom moved in and still kept it for the daycare kids.
There was planks missing.
Can we acknowledge what my voice just did? That was acknowledging. Go on.
There was like planks missing on the platform, like right after you climbed up and got to the slides of the rusty monkey bars and everything. Anyway, so there's planks missing, and we put like a carpet over it. And we were like, hey, Crystal, come and play with us. Come and play with us. And she came up and she fell through it. And I remember, and she gets like stuck because it's not very high off the ground, and she was really kind of fat. And I remember,
so it probably sounded like this.
I remember basically having a heart attack. Like, I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble. Look what we just did. And so, like, we're just trying to make her laugh. And I remember there was...
That's the easiest way to do it. It's like when our cousin Sean smacked you in the face with a tennis racket.
Yeah.
And to make you stop crying, he tried to bribe you with Skittles.
And I remember what I did was I picked up a yellow plastic horseshoe, and I put it on my crotch, and I said, hey, look, it's my dick.
That would cheer anybody up.
Dude, and I remember that. And I don't even know how old I was. How old were we when that retarded girl Jessica went to the daycare?
I don't remember
Man,
Jessica.
you don't remember her? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Crystal
was all I remember. There may have been a
I think her
retarded
half-sister's
Jessica,
name was Jessica.
Oh, right.
And the other girl, Crystal, was the one that gave me a striptease in the toy room.
At 8 and 10 years old.
Yeah, why couldn't that shit happen when I was 17, like in Varsity Blues? It all had to happen when I was 7. Even at 17, I probably would have had the same reaction, which was go tell the adults in the other room what was going on. She's getting naked and she's spreading her private parts.
There's boobs going on in the toy room. Somebody check it out. Going back to that dangerous big toy in the backyard. That wasn't the only awful thing out there. For as attentive as Grandma was with the daycare kids, and I know it was a different time, but we were alive.
It was a different time. It was the time of wooden and metal toys.
But beyond
the
that,
80s.
Remember, she had paid for all this gravel to be set out. There wasn't grass; it was gravel, which is fine sometimes. When there was big pads of it, but when you're jumping off the swing and hitting a rough patch,
playing jumping kangaroo.
Yeah, monkey keeper. We could go on all day.
Yeah,
but I wanted to talk about the motorcycle.
Hand smushers.
Hand smushers.
Oh, the motorcycle, yeah.
There's this motorcycle
First
that was
of all, what a bad idea.
Yeah.
Mount Grandpa's old motorcycle in cement right there in the backyard of a daycare,
right,
which is a huge backyard, and there's lots of sticks and baseball bats and and gravel. It's rocks. It's all rocks.
Yeah. And
you find a big one
all the time, even way after it should have.
Yeah.
You, the pyro that you were, I'm surprised you didn't set the whole backyard on fire.
Dude, I remember just beating the fuck out of that thing.
That was our big thing. Lunchtime and all the daycare kids would run in. Then we'd go back out and we're we're going to beat the fuck out of that motorcycle.
Yeah, I remember that was in the back corner of the yard by the balance beam and then the pine cone tree from which we'd get our pine cone wars pine cones.
Yeah. A lot of dangerous stuff.
I get claustrophobic thinking back to where I remember there was those huge monster truck tires that were cemented into the ground, and you could get on the inside of it and it was just hot and smelled like dirt and rubber. And then there was a bunch of regular tires that we would all play with, without the without the wheel inside, just the tire.
Right.
And we'd stack them up 5 or 6 high on top of this big wheels tire, and go in and then get under. You know what I'm saying? You'd shimmy down the 5 tires on top, get into the big one.
Hatch made famous by Lust.
And then there'd be 4 of you in there, and you can't get out until you bust down all the tires, and oh my god, it was so terrible.
At least we were playing outside.
It was very claustrophobic.
Yeah, man, we were. So the motorcycle by the end of it was just fucked, and there's jagged edges on either.
And it was still there when we were 17 and Dad abandoned the house. There was still a remnant of it out there.
Never left, and there was a tire swing on that.
I was thinking about restoring it.
Yeah. The tire swing, another game we invented, bumper tires, and it was putting 2 or 3 kids at a time on this tire swing, and then smashing it as hard as we can into the planks of the the little platform on the other side.
Yeah.
How are we? First of all, not dead.
Yeah.
No broken bones.
I remember I used to climb on top of it. It was probably 8 feet high, and climb on top and walk above where the tire swing was.
The more I think about it, the more rinky-dink Grandma actually was. I know she was probably hard up for money. Remember that piece of tubing, that green? We called it the green thing.
Yeah, the green thing.
And it was fiberglass, but I would get rashes playing on that.
Yeah,
thing.
It was terrible, but it was so fun because it was the green thing.
Yeah, it was. That came into play when we played Monkey Keeper sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
We had a lot of fun, man.
I remember one time.
I remember getting beamed with some pine cones and pine cone wars.
I remember one time
seeing stars beamed.
I had just learned how to skip bars on the monkey bars, and then
That was a big day for me.
Joe Jordan wanted to play Monkey Keeper, and I was skipping bars with Scott McCoy, and Joe Jordan comes up and he wants to play Monkey Keeper, which, by the way, Joe Jordan invented. Not that it's anything other than chicken fight, but he invented
I like the
it.
name more, though.
I think the guards is what made it his own. There was guards standing on the green thing and on the platform. Anyway, he goes, "Hey guys, you want to play Monkey Keeper?" And I go, "I'm skipping monkey bars right now, Joe." I remember that. And then he also invented hand smushers, which was people.
It's kind of a branch off of Monkey Keeper.
Well,
It's basically the same game.
People
right?
were sitting on top of the monkey bars, like a lot of people, and you'd have to cross the monkey bars while they smush your hands from on top into them.
And we'd sit there at snack time comparing blisters. Like, we tore ourselves up.
Those are some good games, though. I'm saying Joe Jordan was an innovator. He's probably like Timmy and Tommy Timmons from The Sandlot and invented all sorts of playground equipment and shit like that. There's probably a playground toy out at Costco right now called the Green Thing.
Oh, that thing was so dangerous. Your kid, is she old enough to have fun on big toys yet?
Yeah, we can go to the park. We can go to Jim Kids Castle, which is this place. It's it's all
You mentioned it before. Would I have fun there?
No. It seems to be that you can go in there and kind of play around with your kid. I don't think they really condone it. But we went there. It's all the best parts of Chuck E. Cheese's. There's 4 ball pits. There's a zip line thing, and it's all very padded. There's a rock wall that she likes if you help her climb up it.
Uh-huh.
But I went there, and it's just like the movies. The worst part about it is everybody else who's there. The worst part about it is all the other parents there who are they're so worried about what everyone else thinks, and they don't mind their own business. Like this lady, we got there, and Sophie runs off, and the lady's like, "Oh, you didn't take off her shoes." And okay, that's not a big deal. So I brought her back, and I took off her shoes. Bad example. But
I'd be irritated, even though that's clearly a rule, I'm sure, stated all over the place.
Yeah. But I had the laptop. I was doing some podcast editing and stuff like that. And she's over at the rock wall, and I've already been there 10 times. And she's like, "Dad, Dad, Dad." And I learned to tune that out, especially at Kids Castle, where every single kid is yelling the same thing.
Right.
So, I'm looking at her and waving at her, and this other lady's like, "Dad, Dad, she's calling you." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you, lady." And then, me and Sophie were headed towards where these books were in the corner.
Uh-huh.
And this rambunctious kid goes over, and he pushes over this big gate that's right there. And it's a metal gate, and it makes a huge crash, and whatever. We were halfway there when it happened. And the mom runs over and aggressively slaps his hands and stuff like that. So anyway, she clears the way, so me and Sophie just keep on trucking over there. We got to go right past the gate. And Sophie's ahead of me, and the lady's like, "Little girl, don't go over there. He just knocked it over." And I just look over at her, and I was like, "What?" And I got to admit, I'm kind of ashamed. I didn't have anything to say. I just kind of grabbed Sophie's hand, and we walked over there. But it's just ridiculous. Why do you act like that?
Rational behavior from your 2-year-old.
Yeah, but the thing is...
Did I misread this whole thing?
Yeah, her kid was an asshole who runs over and knocks over the gate. Now, Sophie's walking ahead of me in the general direction of the gate, and she assumes, here's another kid stupidly going over there, and I'm going to yell at, not even paying attention to the fact that, me, obviously her father, is 2 steps behind her. So anyway, it's very annoying. And there's parents who are some kids are really mean to each other, and if one kid doesn't like the other kid, sometimes the parents get involved and be like, "Don't take his ball away," and stuff like that. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
That gets very annoying, or passive aggressively, something mom would do, "Oh, leave him alone, that boy doesn't want to play with you," and that boy's parent is sitting right there.
Yeah.
It's awful there. It's really bad.
Sounds like you guys should stick with Playland.
Yeah. McDonald's Playland's the worst, because that's really where there's a lot of 14-year-old aggressive kids in there.
What if you're at Gymboree? That's where I'm assuming you're talking about. Isn't that place in the mall that also has padded walls?
DZ, where kids want to be. I know that was a terrible Gym Kids story, but it was really a stressful day for me. I just hate, and I started thinking, how am I going to handle, just stupid other parents? No, not prom, because then she's on her own.
But then she's making her own decision.
But kindergarten functions, plays, we hope she wants to be in a lot of plays and stuff like that, and talking to other parents who are just they're parenting all wrong, in my opinion. I feel like I'm an expert on parenting, and they're going about it wrong. Just calm down with your kid. Just calm down.
Yeah.
If your kid embarrasses you, don't... I try to think, I think that I get embarrassed really easily, and so did mom.
Uh-huh.
And so, if Sophie's, like if some lady is making funny faces at Sophie, like in the line at Safeway, and Sophie starts pulling on my shirt, going like, "Dad, look at her. She's being silly. Dad, look at her." Like, can you imagine Mom's reaction? Like, okay, stop it. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do that. Like, I have to go along with it and like just look at the lady and be like, "Oh, okay, nice." But all these other parents at Gym Kids who are even my age, like, they're just like Mom was. Like, oh, that kid doesn't want to play with you, or they're too aggressive. Like, oh, don't take his ball away, or don't throw the ball, or little girl, stay away from the gate. It's so fucking stupid. I want to homeschool my kid. I really do.
Yeah, but I don't know. Your daughter's already got a personality about her. Like, you were talking about plays and stuff that you hope she wants to be in. She'll want to be in them. She seems like a show-based kid already.
Yeah.
Every time I'm over, she's doing a fucking show or singing a song.
But what I'm saying is that's my fear, is that she actually is going to do that, and there's just so much
if she's into
parenting to have to
sports?
put up with. That's fine.
Is it?
Whatever. Are you asking what if she's a lesbian?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
No,
One thing leads to another.
The only thing I'll worry about is, like, I think about, like, girls I hated in school. Like, if she was like, oh, I want to be ASB president and I'm, like, on volleyball or some weird combo like that. Like, I hated those girls in school, but I'd be like, I could see how a dad could be really happy with that.
Right.
Like some corny old guy, and, at
you'll be
least
by that
means
point.
that she has ambition. Hopefully she goes into the arts.
Man, you've got high hopes, buddy.
Well, I just don't want her to like depend on being the popular kid. You know how like you see the movies where it's like, oh, senior year in high school, and it's the popular girls versus the Rachel Lee Cooks. But like,
Who screams unpopular?
you look at the popular high school seniors, and you're like, oh, okay, well, they've got nothing going for them later on in life. You gotta be artistic. You gotta be nice to the nerds.
Monkey, popcorn for the monkey.
Plan Brotherhood!
You know what I did by accident when I was fucking with my phone last night that's going to be detrimental to the show? Is I have OCD when it comes to my phone, cleaning out my text history and stuff. Not because I'm hiding anything. Anyway, I accidentally hit delete all instead of just delete this one specific message. And so there was stuff that I was waiting, like I was saving on my phone purposely, that is now gone.
Yeah.
I think I could track it down on the website, but that seems like a lot of work. More work than I've ever put into the show before. Why start now? But one, for instance, that I've been holding on to for a long time and wanted to hold once I contact social services in regards to our sister.
Yeah, how'd that go? How'd that phone call go?
Shut up.
Yeah, I know.
We're getting to this. But there was the famous one from Mom that somehow has not been spoken on mic, where I think it was shortly before she checked back into Western State, which is where she's still at, the mental hospital in Tacoma, and if anybody wants to visit. And it said, she was sending me a couple of texts that was like, your sister's sick, come help me. And I don't know what that meant, because Melissa had been texting me, I'm fine.
If she's in bowling class, she sounds fine to me.
But there was one in particular that Mom said, telling me, Nick, call CPS, Child Protective Services. I'm an idiot pig.
Yeah, call CPS so Melissa's not on the streets.
Oh, yeah. And then I was more focused on the I'm an idiot pig.
Yeah. I thought that was
the...
the suicide text when you forwarded it to me.
Oh, really?
Well, because...
Was that before her attention?
I misread. I thought it was another misspelled email. I figured it meant call cops. So, Melissa, I never put together CPS till later when we talked about it out loud. And I didn't admit that. I had been misreading it the whole time.
No, so she had told me to do that. I didn't. Do we want to talk about it? I think we may have lost it on the other part. Just briefly go over a recent letter you got from Mom with return address was Looney Bin.
Yeah. You had told me that Mom wanted to send me a letter.
Well, I had gotten a text from our sister Melissa saying, because Melissa doesn't have your phone number,
Yeah.
tell PJ that Mom sent him a letter, and you immediately wrote back, ooh, I can't wait to see that. And then you got it the next day, right?
I think I had it that night when I got home.
And then you forgot to bring it here to see
Yeah,
it.
that's true. After telling you it was in the bag, which is just, it's over there, I'll put it in the bag. Yeah, there was...
How long has it been since she's reached out to you last?
I don't know. I don't even know.
Okay. No, you blocked it. I understand.
It was a pretty simple letter. It was just, I know you don't want to talk to me and stuff like that, and how much she's going to do better how another one of her sisters died, and now her mom only has 2 daughters, and just all this corny shit that like mom doesn't even care about.
What was the thing about alcohol?
Not just know that not another drop of alcohol will touch these lips. Things like that. Just a bunch of corny shit that I don't care about.
Did she mention your daughter at all?
Oh yeah, sure.
Went on and on, perhaps?
No, not really. Like it was kind of it almost felt like kind of a letter under guidance. Like just this is what you like. What's everything you want to say? Okay, say this, then this, and
She had a
spelled pretty well.
Yeah,
I
which I'm
honestly
really
think
surprised by.
that maybe there was someone there to give her like spelling assistance and everything like that.
Sounds like a pretty swank nutty house.
Like I said before, written in cursive, which I can't do. The one line in there that really aggravated me or perplexed me, and it might be that she thinks this from listening to the show, I don't know, but everyone knows these are characters, that she's in this place and it's like a prison and she needs to get out and they won't let her out and all this kind of stuff. And worst of all is, I know how you and your brother feel about mental illness, so I know what you must think of me right now, or something like that. Like we have spoken out, like saying that, like, mental retardation is a myth or something like that. Or I guess she's not in there for being retarded.
No.
Mental illness is a myth, that kind of thing. Like, suck it up.
And I've got a bumper sticker that says the same.
I know Mom is mentally ill. She gave it to me. She gave it to me, obviously. And
so there is some, and I think that's what she meant.
I think she even mentioned that, like, I just pray that none of this was passed on to you, the illness that me and my sisters had and have. Fuck you, Denise. Carol, R.I.P.
Annie, R.I.P.
Annie, R.I.P.
Dropping like flies.
Sorry, I made fun of you.
What are the chances of Mom being next? And no, I'm not crossing my fingers.
From Denise? My odds are on Mom being the survivor of that bunch.
I kind of feel like we should actually put money on this.
Maybe they're all like a married couple where they just die really close to each other.
Hand in hand.
Maybe Annie started a cycle. I'll put some money on it. I would bet money that Denise dies first.
All right. Let's bet on the show.
$20?
$20. The same
$20
as
the
wedding
marriage bet, which I won.
We ever talked about that? I think.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Shut that right down then. So that was it, huh? And obviously, I don't even have to ask, but no motivation to write her back.
That was the gist of it. No motivation to write her back. Don't really know. I guess I could do her name, care of Looney Bin. The reason I think that Mom will outlive Denise, one thing she said was, another sort of exasperating thing was, she was listing all the reasons she was in there and attempted suicide. And
so she actually wrote that?
Yeah, and then
spelled correctly.
You wouldn't believe how hard it actually is to kill yourself. I'm thinking, well, I know you had a lot of pills in your bathroom, and I know that that's not how you tried to kill yourself. So how hard did you try?
Yeah. Not that hard.
Yeah, I mean, she went the dramatic route, the route to be seen, the route to, not...
Who are you? Cut.
Yeah. the one that's going to win her an Oscar.
Exciting news. I haven't talked to Mom in a while. I'm a little hurt that she didn't seek out my address and send me a letter, too.
Yeah.
At least I would have remembered to bring it to the show. But I'm not talking to Dad anymore, either. Good. And I find it interesting that you still are. Although he's off of Facebook now. I drove him off of Facebook.
Did he delete his Facebook page?
He did.
That's how I lost a follower. I was finally up to 100, now I'm down to 99.
You don't call him followers on Facebook.
He deleted it?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to hear from you anymore, buddy.
No, I'd like to think it was me that did it. It was actually our Uncle Tracy that alerted me to that fact. It could be that. It could be, and we'll get to why I would have driven him off Facebook. So it's either me or his wife just didn't like the time he was spending on Facebook. I think it could just as easily
be that. He didn't spend a lot of time on there. I think it was most definitely you.
Okay. Let's start at the beginning again.
I think maybe his wife drove him off, but because of you. Like, look at this email Nick wrote me. And then get off of there, delete it, change your number.
I bet he kept it a secret from her, though. He does not want to let her know that we have feelings about anything.
Yeah.
So the last time we talked about this on the show, I can't pull the episode title. Sorry, Red.
It's a joke for one man who doesn't listen.
That's who I do this for.
Actually, he'll tell me, hey, I listened to this episode. It was great. Did you hear your name? No, bro, you fucking said my name.
I was vacuuming. That's how I listen to all my podcasts. But the last time we talked about this, really, I was all primed to write an email to Dad. But I hadn't yet done it, but I assured you that I was going to do it. And I am happy to say that I did it with a little assistance from a friend of mine. In fact...
Which made for an awkward mansion trip, I have to say.
What, really, that?
When I first showed up at the mansion, first thing I do was take like 2 shots of whiskey.
Because we were way ahead of you.
Drink some beers, smoke some pot, and then sit down, meet the people I haven't met, sit down, get acclimated, and then all of a sudden everybody is talking about these emails to Dad and calling social services. And I was just, and then Margaret's like,
spoiler alert.
Oh, I'm sorry. And we might have to cut her name, but
no, this is fine. She'll go public with this.
Margaret calls me over, and she wants to say like, I just want to let you know that I'm not influencing Nick to do anything. I'm helping him out, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's true.
And I'm like, yes, I understand that. I was like, I'm just a little uncomfortable talking about it in front of so many people. So that pretty much brought...
well, that's why I'm getting it out one last time, and then we can squash it. We're done.
Oh, no, on the podcast is fine. It was just like people I had never met before. We just got there.
Who do you think is
By the way, Dogma just caught my eye on your DVD.
Quick getting distracted by your surroundings.
How much did you pay for that 2-disc special edition?
God, PJ, you are really derailing this.
I'm sorry, just real quick.
It's been a while since I bought it. It was a new release at the time, but I have my Suncoast discount, so I'm going to guess about $16.
I just found it for $6 brand new.
Okay.
Anyway,
we are not cutting that only to show how unprofessional you are today. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, so, but this isn't even a segue. Like,
I just thought about what you asked about Dogma.
I'm just trying to remember, like, when did this whole, like, fuck it, I'm writing Dad right now. Well, it was like one of the many times Mom got committed, right?
Yeah, and... I think I already mentioned in this very episode that I accidentally deleted a bunch of texts. But what really put me over the top, first of all, I was in the running for an opening at Dad's work.
Yeah.
And then while we recorded that last episode, though, I got a text from him saying, whoops, sorry, the boss hired his son or some shit. And so then I was like, well, now I have, like, no real reason to hold back. Plus, I was already debating it at that time whether or not to write it. I just knew that I had to be drunk enough, and I didn't feel like I was until, like, a week later. And I was hanging out with Margaret, and she helped me write my first email to him. I think, though, what really drove me to do it and decided I wasn't going to hold back is that our sister Melissa was texting me to let me know that she was in a car accident.
Oh, that's right. That was the big. That was
right.
That was the trigger.
Right. Because Vincent, our stepdad, who is her sole guardian right now because Mom's committed,
and pretty much her soulmate.
I'd say so. So she told me about how she says, just to let you know, because that's how she starts every fucking text. Jest, by the way, Jest, to let you know. Vincent, I was in a car accident, and so I wrote her back and was like, what, are you okay? What happened? And she says, Vincent crashed into a car, and that car crashed into a car that had 2 babies inside. And yes, he was drinking.
That's my favorite part.
So and then she was texting me for the next couple of days, telling me how her head hurt, whatever. And at this point, I hadn't yet written Dad the email, but I have a Facebook message from him like a day after I'd heard that from Melissa saying, hey, I just got a text from your sister saying she was in a car accident. Any details? And I don't like that he can't ask her himself, and he's trying to keep himself out of it, but he still wants that dirt. That's the thing that frustrates me most of all about him.
Yeah.
And so
he should want the information, but for reasons other than why he actually wants it.
Right. And so that's what really set me off. And then with Margaret's help.
Now you really better not make me cut her name if I have to do it 15 times.
I will. I promise. I know I belligerently screamed some of this first email at the end of our Never to Be Spoken of Again, episode 88, The Mansion Film.
Hey, don't say that. There were some audio issues, and that's it. That was the only thing wrong with that episode.
That
was just too loud.
Literally every personal friend I have that tried to listen to it couldn't get past the first 2 minutes.
Because of the audio levels we were turned up to.
Sure, that's why. Yeah, so...
so live listeners know.
Right, but even they don't know because I only got halfway through.
Oh, that's true.
And I gave no preamble, but I think people are caught up now, right?
Yeah.
The car accident is what prompted me to write Dad. So here I go. Hi, Dad. Melissa texted me the same thing, so I got what information I could from her. She sat shotgun while Vincent caused a collision involving 3 other cars, one of which had 2 babies aboard. Now, granted, that's information I got from Melissa.
Yeah.
But she's a lot of
Cabbage
things.
Patch Dolls.
What's that?
Cabbage Patch Dolls.
Yeah, she may have been confused, but she never,
Tamagotchis.
I don't think she's capable of intentionally lying about anything.
Wait a minute.
What?
This might be off-air talk, but didn't you say once that she claimed that Vincent slapped her around a little, and you said she lies about everything?
No, I think I took her side on that one, and I wanted to get more involved, as I tend to claim to want to do lately.
All right.
Also, he was drunk and therefore arrested. I asked who she's staying with currently, and she says Vincent. I assume he bailed himself out somehow? That doesn't explain where she was when he was in jail. You'll notice, just as a teaser here, I give him an ultimatum. I don't ask him a question. I tell him what needs to be done.
Did you switch to bold text?
I should have. No, but I inserted at least 3 LOLs because I was having fun. With Mom in and out of Western State, Liz says she has a court date tomorrow but has already been committed for the next 90 days, which we since learned is true. And Vincent proving himself incapable to the point of risking her life, there is no other option. You, as a father,
Preach it.
must step in.
Yes.
When you see Melissa on Saturday, because he was due to see her 4 of his 8 hours a month, it should be to pick her up and move her in with you. Why are you laughing?
That was never going to happen.
I know,
By
but-
that Saturday?
Okay, part of this was
What an
Vincent's-
unrealistic ultimatum.
I understand, but he needed to hear it, okay? Of course we know what his reaction's going to be, but what I'm going to do...
His reaction is going to be Nick's pissed off and flying off the handle.
Right, which I was,
I'm on
and
your
I
side.
was. Do you not agree with the phrasing so far?
No, well,
We could talk about that later.
just that last part, just that when you see her
I think it's good.
in 48 hours, you're moving her into your house. Like, obviously, yeah, that's the right thing to do, buddy.
Yeah, and he knows...
But you know, what percentage of you thought that was going to happen?
none.
And he knows
0%.
that. And he knows that. So he knows that you're, like, suggesting something just unfathomable. Whether or not it should be, he knows that you know it is.
Okay,
Slam dunk.
I acknowledge that, but that's why I got testier later.
Okay.
You might feel that's impossible right now, the whole picking her up and moving her in with you.
Amen.
But every day you allow to go by with her living in these conditions puts her in greater jeopardy of injury or death, not to mention the associated mental and emotional damage she's already incurring. I like that line.
Yeah.
I know
Did you write that one?
Yeah, no. I know that it will be hard for you to open your home and your life to her, even more so for Debbie, who I did mention by name.
Yes.
But that's the only time. But you really are the only one that can step in and give her a chance for health and happiness. There are no other viable options, and you are her only functional parent. I also like that line. I will give myself credit for that one. It's true, though. Like, he's just unwilling. He's not incapable.
Yeah. Emotionally, maybe. But
Here's where I involved you, even though you told me not to. Although PJ, Lori, nor I are in a position to be able to take her in financially or otherwise, I assure you that we will be there to support you in any way we can.
oh, bullshit. That Lori's got lots of money. that was my impression of Dad.
No, I thought he was actually in the room for a second. Not enough gravel in your throat.
Well, that was my impression of Dad when he was married to Mom. I don't know how it is anymore, but that's exactly what he would say back then.
I assure you that we will be there to support you in any way we can once you do take over primary custody. Again, not an option. This is what you're doing. Including researching assisted living programs for after she's 18 and graduated from high school. Because earlier, before I sent this off, we would talk casually about it when I would go on his trips with Melissa, to see Melissa. And, he wanted us to do all the work, basically. I'm like, she's getting at an age where we got to figure out, some kind of assisted living program for her.
Where is
and he's
she
like,
when
you know
you're
what,
doing
son?
this?
That's great. You and PJ and Lori should get together and then just let me know the details. I want to know where I can visit her. At no point stepping up and saying he's going to take over responsibility.
And what is she doing this time? Burger King Playland? Are you guys at the DZ where kids want to be?
It was just, Melissa's sitting in the back with her outdated Discman, singing Hannah Montana, and me and Dad are having a private, if not awkward, conversation. It's clear that Melissa's living situation with Mom and Vincent has deteriorated to the point where Melissa's life and well-being are at risk. Okay, so I've made that same point like 3 times. Please step in and save her life. Little preachy at the end. Nick, I'm a little scared to send it off, but I also feel good once I do it, I'm curious to see what response I get from him. Curiouser, he didn't write me back for like a week. It was literally 6 days later, I think, before he wrote me back. And in the meantime, like, I see that we're on Facebook at the same time sometimes.
Ooh.
And, but I was just waiting.
Daring each other to send that first I am.
Right, exactly. So he did eventually write me back, as I just hinted at. Hold on. And this is one I don't think you've heard yet.
I think I have.
I've given you key lines.
I think you forwarded it to me.
This is going to burn my biscuits, I'm warning you. It's so ridiculous. Hi, Nick. Thanks for your response. I have looked into doing that, like picking up Melissa, as he should have. But what you suggested for me is actually against the law. I do not have custody, and what you have told me I have to do is considered kidnapping. Also, as of now, nobody is willing to give up custody and give up the monthly child support.
How would he know that? Who does he talk to?
He knows that Vincent is still cashing those $300 checks, but not because he talks to him or involves himself in any fucking way.
All Mom does is beg anyone else to take over custody of Melissa.
Right, but isn't it true, and we may have discussed this, that Lori had suggested at one point that if she were ultimately to have to take Melissa in, she would need that child support, and then Mom backed right the fuck off.
It was that Mom wanted Melissa to stay for a month, and in negotiations, Lori said, well, that's a full month, that's a full $300. Whoever's taking care of her should use that money to take care of her. Obviously, Mom doesn't use that money to take care of Melissa as much as she used the food program check money from the state to pay for food for the daycare kids.
Right.
So yeah, like in that instance, she gave up immediately. No, it's cool. It's cool, fool. But yeah, I think if she was getting rid of Melissa full time, they might bite the bullet and get rid of that $300 a month. They're already going to be homeless anyway.
Yeah, they're on their way out.
Yeah.
Getting the old heave ho. Okay, so back to Dad's infuriating email. This is the part where all of a sudden. Well, I'll just read it. Melissa talked quite a bit about you on Saturday. She is disappointed that you...
Yeah, this is really the turnaround.
Yeah, like, let's put it on me now.
Like, it's basically, Dear Nick, what you've suggested is interesting, but against the law, and I'm not going to do it. Now, let me tell you some things that you can do to make this situation better.
Something to make up for the fact that she barely knows what her father looks like anymore.
Yeah.
Melissa talked quite a bit about you on Saturday. She is disappointed that you do not always respond to her text messages. And she always asks
Do you think he does?
No, absolutely.
He absolutely does not.
He gets charged by the text and told her to stop texting him.
Repeat.
At least
he
I
does
accept
not
them.
respond to her text messages.
But it's all about me, buddy. It's all about me. She is disappointed that you don't always respond to her text messages, and she always asks me if you're going to be with me on the Saturday visits. I don't know what to tell her when I tell her... Nice one.
Yes.
I haven't heard from you about it. I know that she misses seeing her big brothers, so now you're involved. You're the fuckhead. I know she needs support now more than ever, and she would love phone calls or visits from you whenever you can get a chance to go to Tacoma. You could do it anytime, not just on the weekends when I go to visit. Thanks, Dad. Thanks for fucking informing me. Just to let you know, Melissa told me that she is okay with her living situation right now.
Ooh.
Okay, let's think about that for a second.
Melissa is in a position to make decisions on her own.
Yes.
Obviously.
Her mental instability proves that. But I can just imagine his ploying tone, like when he does briefly mention it on his time with her, like right after it happened. You're okay living where you are, right?
Yeah.
You like Vincent, right? Like just goading her into a response.
Is Vincent
that he can then
nice
throw back
to
in my
you
face.
at least?
Yes. Is he nice in between drunkenly crashing into cars with you in the passenger seat? Melissa told me that she is okay with her living situation right now and actually does not even like going for hospital visits.
What does that even mean?
I think that means...
If she doesn't like going for hospital visits, quit giving her with the drunken driver, letting her live there.
Her leg might be gangrenous, but she has a problem with nurses
She
and
doesn't
needles.
even like walking. It's perfect for her.
If you get a chance, please keep in contact with Melissa. She would really love hearing from and seeing you. That's it. That was... I was fucking like I started writing the death email like this is it, and I knew at this point that whatever I wrote Dad next, that was going to be it. And so now he's out. He's cut out of my life, and he knows that. That's why he's not on Facebook anymore. So I did write him back one last time though, and it's a little harsher, but still I had I had Margaret helping me. Oh, also, he had texted Lori, our aunt, basically around the same time to ask, any details on this car accident that I should be caring more about? And Lori wrote a pretty... I don't want to, tell tales out of school. But Lori wrote him... I know she said fuck at least once, which made it seem stern and direct to Dad. But less so than mine, and intentionally so. But Dad responded to her about a week later, the same time he responded to me. But his was much more brief and curt with her, from what I hear. Melissa, basically he just took the part. Melissa says she's okay with her situation right now, and that was it. And he hasn't talked to her since. So after I heard that especially, I knew I had to write him back. And this time I meant it.
Kind of.
So here's where I call him out on his bullshit about what I've asked him to do is kidnapping. And when I read that part initially, when he's like, what you're telling me to do, son, is against the law, and I'm no idiot. If his wife is involved, which I doubt he's even told her, but I kind of see her helping him write that part. I don't know why.
Yeah. He did tell Lori that he told Debbie about all of it.
Yeah, but I'm almost certain he was lying.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, here's my last email to Dad ever. I agree that you need to go through the proper channels to obtain custody. However, in dire situations such as this, you can petition the court for an emergency removal from her current household. Thank you, Kelly, for the legal information. The court's ultimate responsibility and concern is the well-being of the child, especially when it comes to her physical safety. Regardless of what she may tell you, being a retard... That's an editorial note, not actually in the letter. You are the adult, and as her father must recognize that she's in an unhealthy and dangerous environment. If you refuse to act in the best interest of your daughter, not my sister, the rest of us are left with no choice but to intervene by calling social services. We will no longer stand by while you and Mom continue to neglect her and jeopardize her mental, physical...
Who's we? Are you involving me again?
Again. This time not by name, at least. Jeopardize her mental, physical, and emotional stability. This is my favorite part. This is the only part where I really said fuck you to Dad. And believe me, the first draft was fucking brutal.
Yeah.
I know that your cunt wife helped you write this, Dad. But this is the line I'm most proud of. Do not attempt to deflect from the situation by calling into question my relationship with Melissa. I am not her father.
Ooh.
Come on. Unless I hear from you by 3 p.m. tomorrow.
You have a date stamp on this email?
Shut up. It was a real high noon moment. I felt awesome about
date and time. Did you give him more or less than 24 hours?
A little more. What day is today? Unless I hear from you by 3 p.m. tomorrow, I will be calling social services. I hope that you will do the right thing and reach out to them yourself, finding out what steps you must take to obtain custody immediately. Please let me know when you've completed this step so that we can discuss how Lori, PJ, and I can assist you in saving your daughter's life.
Quit saying my name. You know what? At least I bet you had him on his edge of his seat all day the next day. Like he was nervous for a couple of days.
Yeah, so nervous that I've not heard from him since. Not a single word, which is kind of fucked up.
He talked to me on Facebook. I am
and didn't mention it, right? You claim that's the only reason you engaged him at all is because you thought he'd bring it up.
I didn't engage him.
I'm saying the only reason you responded and started.
Oh yeah,
engage.
Yeah,
okay. Engage. Engage. It's kind of fun. Engage.
But that was very generic, and he didn't mention it. I thought about it, but man, like, I honestly don't care that you put my name in those emails.
I didn't figure you did.
But
because it's not like
I'm just so uninterested in the whole thing. I mean,
aren't you worried that
I feel bad that like I'm a lot like Dad. Like, oh, give me the dirt, but I don't want to play an active role. Like I burned my bridge with Dad. I burned my bridge with Mom. I just don't want anything to do with them anymore.
I know. I just needed to remind him one last time and try to basically threaten him or let's say blackmail. That sounds intense. But he's the one that should be taking an active role, and he fucking knows it. And the fact that he's dealing with it by not talking to me at 53 years old, like, what kind of grudge is that because I called you on your shit?
Yeah.
I rubbed your nose in it a little, but it felt good to do it. Like, you've been absent for years.
He's very petty like that.
Good. I'm fucking done with him. And as far as social services, I will say that when I sent this, the next day, the 3 p.m. deadline, was the same day that we were leaving for the mansion, and I got distracted on the drive there. Baby cows. There were baby cows.
Yeah.
You
were going to call on the drive there in a car full of people?
Well, I was making. I actually brought Post-it notes to write down, keywords so I wouldn't get nervous when I was talking to social services. The list started with pubic lice. I thought that was a good opening.
Jesus.
But then, also, the DUI, mom's attempted suicide, mom's mental state, mom's alcoholism, mom, dad's also an asshole and he should step up is basically what I'm prepared to say. I still want to do it. I think it's interesting that your daughter just spent the day at the zoo with Melissa.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to probe her for information when she comes back. Not Melissa. I hope she's not coming. Good God.
I mean, it's probably just the same old stuff. Just Melissa being
saying the same eight
yeah,
Montana phrases over
and
over
just
again.
kind of really weird and introverted,
but also suffocating your daughter.
Yeah, and she won't know how to act around the baby. She'll scare the baby will cry, and she'll be sad. And everyone will talk about what a bitch my baby is.
Not to your face.